On the day I was supposed to marry the love of my life, my own sister tried to sabotage me. She thought she could humiliate me in front of everyone by inviting the one person guaranteed to cause chaos, my ex. But what she didn't know was that I had something planned, something she would never see coming. I'm the kind of person who doesn't like drama. I avoid it if I can. And all I wanted was a beautiful, peaceful wedding, a day filled with love, laughter, and the people who actually supported me. But then there was my sister. She has always been, well, entitled the golden child. Growing up, she got away with everything, lying, manipulating, twisting situations so that somehow she always came out as the victim or the star. Meanwhile, I was the one who had to be the bigger person. Our relationship was strained, but I tried to keep things civil. After all, she was still my sister. When I announced my engagement, she gave me this fake smile and said, "Wow, I didn't think he'd actually propose to you." That was my first warning sign. Fast forward to the wedding rehearsal. I was looking over the guest list when I noticed a name that stopped me cold. My ex, the same ex who had cheated on me multiple times and humiliated me publicly. The one person I swore I'd never see again. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. But no, my sister admitted it with a smirk. She said, "Come on, it'll be fun. Besides, don't you think people deserve to see who you really belong with?" That was the moment I knew she wasn't just being careless. She wanted to sabotage me. She wanted to ruin the happiest day of my life, and I decided right then and there I wasn't going to let her win. You know how weddings are supposed to be magical? Well, mine almost turned into a complete disaster thanks to my sister. I was so excited, nervous, and honestly a little overwhelmed as the big day got closer. After years of dealing with messy family drama, I finally felt like I had found my person, someone who truly loved me for who I was. I just wanted one day, one perfect day to celebrate that, but my sister, she had other plans. She's always been the golden child in our family, entitled, manipulative, jealous, ever since we were kids. She made sure the spotlight was always on her. If I achieved something, she'd twist it so she looked better. If I was happy, she'd find a way to sour it. Our relationship was strained, sure, but I kept it civil. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd behave for my wedding. But nope. She couldn't even hide her bitterness when I got engaged. She smirked and said, "Wow, didn't think he'd actually propose to you." Yeah, that stung. And then came the help. She insisted on being involved with the planning, offered to handle the guest list, and kept dropping hints about special surprises she was planning for my big day. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was trying to be nice. Should have known better, because her idea of a surprise was the one person I swore I never wanted to see again. It happened the night of the wedding rehearsal. I was double-checking the guest list, just making sure everyone was accounted for. When my heart nearly stopped, there it was, his name. My ex, the same ex who cheated on me, lied to me, and humiliated me in front of half our friends. The same ex I swore I never wanted near my life again, let alone on the happiest day of it. At first, I thought it had to be some kind of mistake. A typo. Maybe one of my fiancé's friends with the same name. But no, when I asked around, people confirmed it. My sister had invited him. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to deny it. She just smirked, that smug, infuriating little smirk. "Relax," she said. "I just thought it would be entertaining. Besides, don't you think people deserve to see which man you really belong with?" I stood there, stunned. She wasn't just being careless, she was deliberately trying to sabotage me. On the one day that was supposed to be mine, that was the moment the line was crossed. The moment I realized my sister wasn't just a jealous sibling, She was willing to burn down my happiness just to feed her ego, and I decided right then and there I wasn't going to let her win. The wedding day arrived, and for a few blissful hours, I actually believed everything would be okay. My fiancé looked incredible. The ceremony was beautiful, and I felt happy. But of course, my sister couldn't resist. The moment we got to the reception, she paraded my ex around like he was some kind of VIP guest. She dragged him from table to table, introducing him to relatives, laughing a little too loudly at his jokes, and acting like they were the stars of the evening. At one point, she even tried to seat him near my fiancé's parents. I watched in disbelief as she leaned in and whispered to my mother-in-law, "Don't you think he would have made a better match?" My stomach dropped. The audacity was unreal. Then came the jokes, loud enough for me and half the room to hear. Honestly, I think the bride picked the wrong guy. Half the room agrees with me. People started glancing at me with that awkward pity in their eyes. My fiancé's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm, squeezing my hand under the table. He didn't want to ruin the evening. But my sister, oh, she wanted exactly that. Every move, every word was designed to humiliate me in front of everyone I loved. And that's when I knew I couldn't let this go on. I wasn't just going to stop her. I was going to end her little game once and for all. As if parading my ex around wasn't enough, my sister took things to a whole new level. At one point, I overheard her whispering to my bridesmaids. She laughed and said, "I bet she chickens out at the altar when she sees him sitting there." Honestly, I'll give it 10 minutes before she bolts. The room spun. This wasn't just jealousy anymore. She was betting on my humiliation. On my wedding day. But then came the final straw. While I was greeting guests, my fiancé overheard my ex bragging to a group of people. His exact words, "She always come back to me eventually. This whole wedding is just for show." I saw the look on my fiancé's face when he told me. He was angry, sure, but more than that, he was hurt. And that's when something inside me snapped. If I let this go, if I just smiled through it, my sister would poison the entire memory of my wedding. She'd laugh about it for years. She'd tell the story her way, and I'd be the punchline. No, not this time. That was the moment I decided she wanted a show. I was going to give her one, and I had the perfect weapon to do it. Here's the thing about me. I don't throw away receipts. After my breakup, I'd held on to something explosive. Months earlier, my ex had gotten drunk at a party and bragged about how he cheated on me. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. And the kicker? One of those times was with one of my sister's so-called friends. I filmed it. His slurred little confession, word for word. At the time, I didn't even know why I saved it. Maybe part of me needed proof that I hadn't been crazy, that I hadn't just imagined the betrayal. But that wasn't all. I also had screenshots. Long, ugly chains of texts where my sister was literally coaching him, telling him to win me back just to sabotage my relationship. Saying things like, "Don't worry, she's weak, she always falls for you. If you show up, I promise." She crack. Seeing those words again made my stomach turn. And in that moment, standing in my wedding dress, I realized these weren't just sad reminders of my past. They were weapons. So I did what any bride with a vindictive streak and a flair for the dramatic would do. I pulled out my phone, messaged the DJ, and asked him to prepare a special video I had uploaded in advance, just in case. The video wasn't long, maybe 3 minutes total. A tight little compilation, clip of my ex admitting to cheating, screenshots of texts from my sister. And finally, a closing slide I'd made as a joke months ago, and that's why you'll never ruin me again. I hadn't planned on using it, but now it was the only plan. My sister thought she was in control. My ex thought he was smugly winning. but neither of them had any idea that the real show was about to start. The reception was in full swing laughter, champagne glasses clinking, the dance floor packed. My sister had been pestering me all week about running a special slideshow. She acted like it was her big contribution to the wedding. I smiled sweetly and told her, of course. But what she didn't know was that I had already swapped the files. So when the lights dimmed and the projector lit up, I took a deep breath, squeezed my husband's hand, and braced myself. Instead of her cheesy slideshow, the first clip popped up. My ex, sloppy drunk, bragging about how he cheated on me. The room went completely silent. Guests leaned forward, their jaws dropping as he slurred, "She never found out. I could always do better anyway." Before anyone could process, the video cut to screenshots my sister's texts. Right there, in black and white, she was encouraging him to show up and ruin the wedding. Even laughing about how it would be legendary. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some people covered their mouths. Others shook their heads in disbelief. And me, I just sat back and watched. It was my moment. The second the video ended, the room was dead silent. For a split moment, all I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat. Then chaos. My sister shot up from her chair, face red, screaming, "Turn that off. That's not true. She edited that." She actually ran toward the DJ booth, waving her arms like a maniac. But it was too late. Everyone had already seen everything. Guests gasped, whispering behind their hands. My aunts shook their heads. My grandmother, of all people, muttered, "Shameless girl," loud enough for half the room to hear. My ex. He looked like someone had just ripped the floor out from under him. His smug little smirk was gone. He tried to play it cool, laughing nervously, but people started booing. Someone shouted, "Get out." And just like that, he stormed out, humiliated, shoulders hunched, with the entire room buzzing behind his back. Meanwhile, my sister stood frozen. She was trembling, caught between rage and embarrassment, her eyes darting from person to person as every single guest glared at her. Family members demanded, "Why would you do this to your own sister?" Her excuses stumbled out, each one worse than the last. And me, I just stood there, holding my fiancé's hand. He pulled me closer in front of everyone, smiled proudly, and said, loud enough for the room to hear, "Now that's what I call shutting the door on the past." The room erupted in applause, and my sister, she couldn't even meet my eyes. As the last screenshot faded from the screen, the silence in the room was deafening. Then, just like a wave breaking, the crowd erupted. Some guests actually clapped. Others muttered things like, "Unbelievable," and she did not just do that. I turned my head slowly toward my sister. Her face was crimson, her jaw locked tight, and for the first time in her life, she had no snappy comeback. Before I could even stand, my mom and dad were already moving. My dad's voice cut through the chatter. "Enough, sister's name. You've embarrassed this family for the last time." She sputtered, I was just, but Mom grabbed her arm, and the two of them walked her straight to the exit. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. The doors shut behind her, and the room broke into applause. Not polite clapping, real, genuine applause. People came up to me, hugging me, whispering, "Good for you." And that was so brave. My husband squeezed my hand and whispered, "That's my wife." For the first time that day, I could finally breathe. I didn't just marry the love of my life, I buried the ghosts of my past and exposed the people who tried to poison my happiness. And I have to admit, hearing that applause, it was sweeter than cake. In the weeks after the wedding, the fallout was exactly what you'd expect. My sister, she was cut off financially by my parents. No more emergency checks, no more bailouts. They told her straight up, "You don't bite the hand that feeds you." And she wasn't invited to family gatherings anymore. As for my ex, he became a running joke. Anytime his name comes up, my cousins roll their eyes and say, "Oh, you mean the guy who thought he was the star of the wedding?" He slunk back into his little world, humiliated, and I haven't heard from him since. But here's the best part. When people talk about my wedding, they don't remember her drama. They remember how I flipped the script, how I took control, and refused to be her victim. Guests still tell me that was the most unforgettable wedding we've ever been to. And that's the thing about people who thrive on jealousy. They always think they're playing chess, when really they're just setting themselves up for checkmate. So if anyone tries to ruin your happiness out of spite, don't fight dirty. Just let their own actions destroy them. Trust me, karma has a way of showing up right on time.